Hi, welcome to Consular Conversations with U.S. Embassy Kingston, where we answer your questions about visas, American citizen services, and more live. Today, I am joined by Kiana and Rick from the immigrant visa section, and we're going to be discussing what happens if you're traveling outside the United States and your green card is lost, stolen, or destroyed, or you're a green card holder who's been abroad for an extended amount of time. Before we get to your questions, I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues for some key updates from U.S. Embassy Kingston. Over to you, Kiana.
Thank you, Morgan. No, good news for applicants who refuse to do their vaccines. As of March the 11th, 2025, the CDC, which is the Center for Disease and Control Prevention, removed the COVID vaccine requirement for all immigrant visas. So if you're planning to migrate to the US, this is no longer needed. So if you have a pending immigrant visa and you actually refuse the COVID vaccine while you were at the medical facility, you can send us an email at kingstoniv@state.gov. And in that email, in the subject line, it's M22.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks, Morgan.
Again, I'm Rick. I have an update for applicants that are applying for a non-immigrant visa. So as of the first of this month of April 2025, all non-immigrant visa applicants must present a valid DS-160 visa application confirmation form when they're coming into the embassy for their non-immigrant visa appointment. So it's your barcode number is going to be starting with the letters AA, and it must match the one used to make your appointment online. So before you come to the embassy, just make sure that the barcode number starting with AA matches the barcode number that you used, the confirmation number you used to schedule an appointment. If it does not match the one that you used to book your appointment, unfortunately, you're not allowed to interview for that day. Mm-hmm. What you'll need to do is go back to the online appointment system, and you'll have to reschedule by selecting the missed appointment option in that online appointment system.
Mm-hmm. And also, in regards to uploading documents, now, while certain visa classes can require uploading documents to our portal prior to the interview, this is generally not a requirement. What will happen? Do not attempt to email or upload any documents prior to your interview unless the U.S. Embassy asks you to do so. Rather, bring any supporting documents with you to the interview in the case the consular officer asks for them.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Morgan.
Before we get into our audience questions, let's just talk generally about what a boarding foil and an SB1 visa is. So, Kiana, can you tell us what a boarding foil is and who should apply for that?
Okay, so a boarding foil is basically a travel document. It's placed in your passport. It's similar to a visa that allow green card holders to re-enter the United States without their green card. So, for example, you come to the Jamaica for spring break and your green card lost or it's stolen. You can email the embassy at kingstoniv@state.gov, and in that subject line, you're going to put M11. Now, this is only for person who has come to the US and has come to Jamaica and has been in Jamaica for less than 1 year. And these are only applied to green card holders or what we call legal permanent residents.
Great, thank you. And Rick, can you tell us what an SB1 visa is and who should apply for that?
Okay, so unlike a boarding foil, a SB1 is actually a type of visa. It's intended for people that are a green card holder, so they're already a U.S. permanent resident, and they had status when they left the U.S. Mm-hmm. However, at the point that they're applying for an SB1, they have been outside of the U.S. for more than 1 year. In that case, if you've been outside of the U.S. for more than 1 year as a permanent resident, you may not be eligible for a boarding foil. And if you have been outside the U.S. for an extended period, you apply for the SB1 visa. And those are evaluated here at the embassy during an interview. And it's only approved if certain extenuating circumstances are met. So that might be medical emergency on your behalf or a close family member's, perhaps here in Jamaica, or another sort of reason that's outside of the applicant's control. So if you need a SB1 visa, the step to take is to email kingstoniv@state.gov. In the subject line, include the subject P as in Paul 22, and that's for the SB1 visa.
So just a quick notice for the SB1s. SB1s, just to highlight, these are persons who are actually permanent residents who are actually outside the U.S. for more than 1 year. If you're planning to apply for the boarding foil, if you're out of the U.S. for less than 1 year.
Great. Thank you guys so much. All right, let's turn to some audience questions. And as a reminder, we cannot answer questions about your specific case, but if you have any questions, please feel free to email us at kingstoniv@state.gov. All right. So firstly, people want to know, is there a difference between a lawful permanent resident and a green card holder, or are those the same thing?
They're the same thing.
They're the same thing,
Yes,
just used
one of the same,
interchangeably.
yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Anne asks, am I allowed to travel on an expired green card or other travel documents?
Well, the U.S. Embassy recommends the best practice to make sure all of your travel documents are in order prior to leaving the U.S. That will make your return to the U.S. much easier and streamlined. If you have an expired green card and need to travel back to the U.S., we recommend making an appointment with the U.S. Embassy to apply for that boarding foil, just to make your travel back to the U.S. easier.
Thank you. Dainty from X wants to know where she can pay the fee for the boarding foil and if she needs an appointment or she can just come to the embassy.
Good question, Dainty, and thank you for asking that question. It's the boarding foil?
Yes.
That's actually paid online at the UCIS website. It's normally once you send the email to the embassy, we'll give you a checklist as to what is needed, and the website will also be on that checklist as to how you go ahead and pay for that boarding foil.
Okay, great. All right. Anne on Facebook wants to know, I plan on being outside the United States for more than a year. Can I preemptively apply for an SB1 to notify the embassy ahead of time? That way I don't lose my LPR status.
Yes, that's a great question. So if you are going to be absent from the U.S. for, you're going to be for an extended period of time, we recommend prior to your departure that you reapply for a reentry permit. It's using a form known as 131, and that will help you determine if you're eligible for reentry after that prolonged absence from the U.S. So it's generally for when you do, in fact, plan to be outside of the U.S. for more than a year. And it allows a permanent or conditional permanent resident to apply for admission into the U.S. during the permit's validity without the need for obtaining a returning resident visa, the SB1. And that can be done also at the U.S. CIS website, filing the Form 131.
Great, thank you. Riri from Instagram asks, I'm trying to apply for my boarding foil, but no longer have access to my A number. What should I do?
Okay, so good question. A lot of our applicants sometimes email us to say that they can't locate their A number. A number is the same as their alien number. So what they can do, if they were actually issued a visa at the Kingston Embassy, immigrant visa at Kingston Embassy, the A number is actually on that visa that was issued. If, for example, you still can't locate it, you can always email us at kingstoniv@state.gov. And what you can do in that subject line, you're going to put M22, and we'll be more than happy to provide you with that A number. Key note to note is that you must put your name and you must put your full name and your date of birth.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Ivy K asks, I'm a green card holder. I've been outside the States for more than a year due to a family emergency. I tried to re-enter, but was denied boarding on the airplane. What should I do?
So in her case, because she was actually outside of the US for more than 1 year, that means that she definitely needs to apply for the SB1. So she can actually email us, as Rick stated before, at kingstoniv@state.gov, and it's M22. Subject line?
P as in Paul,
P,
22.
22.
Yeah.
And then we'll give her instruction checklist as to what is it that she needs to get this SB1 started.
Great, thank you. Someone else wants to know, their green card was stolen, but they're supposed to fly to the States tomorrow. How quickly can they get a boarding foil?
So as soon as possible, you want to email the same email address, kingstonib@state.gov. Include the P11 code for the boarding foil, and we will contact you as soon as we can in order to get you in for an interview for your boarding foil so that you can make the earliest available flight.
It's actually sometimes a same day process. It depends, It depends on the clearance issue. Then we can go ahead and say, you can come back, for example, the same day to come and collect. But if there's a delay, we'll definitely tell you not to go ahead and buy your ticket just yet, because some persons go ahead and buy their tickets and then there's an issue and we're not able to issue the visa in time.
Yeah, thank you so much. There were a couple questions about the medical exam, I think, because of the update we gave about the COVID vaccine. So firstly, Pansa from Facebook wants to confirm if they can do their vaccines in the Cayman or if they have to be done in Jamaica.
Okay, that's a good question, Panza. You can do your vaccines in Cayman if you have an immigrant visa pending in Jamaica. However, the medical will need to be done in Jamaica, and that's at the Andrews Hospital.
Okay, great. And as a follow-up, if someone has an upcoming immigrant visa interview, how soon should they be doing their medical exam?
Medical exams. We try to advise applicants that they need to do their medical, schedule their medical appointment as soon as they get their interview date, right?
Okay.
Most times it's 3 weeks before. So that's a good time to avoid any delays. Now, with the medical facility, what they do, once you send in an email, because you have to go on their website, and that website is actually on the welcome letter that you actually get from National Visa Center. You go on that website and book your appointment. You get all the information needed. So for example, they'll give you what you need to take to your medical appointment, and they also will tell you the vaccines that are required. Now, this is especially important because most of our applicants are coming to the medical facility and the vaccines are not done. So what they have done is give you a checklist based on your age to say, hey, if you're between this age, you need these vaccines. So please go to the once you schedule your appointment online for the medical facility, check that checklist to make sure that you have all the vaccines. You can actually go to your regular doctor or maybe a health center to make sure that you are actually fully vaccinated.
Thank you. Patrick from Facebook wants to know, if someone applies for an SB1 but they are denied, what can they do? How can they get back to the States?
So at that point, it must have been determined that you no longer have the permanent residency status. However, that does not preclude you from applying for an immigrant visa in the future. So maybe you have a family member that could act as a sponsor, in which case, or a petitioner, in which case you would file a new application for a separate immigrant visa.
And a key point also to note, Morgan, is that the fee that you pay is non-refundable. So even if you're denied, unfortunately, we won't be able to give you back your money.
Oh, thank you for noting that. Okay, so because you guys are from the immigrant visa section, we do have a few immigrant visa questions. So someone, Richard from YouTube asks, if he's a green card holder, can he apply for his daughter to immigrate to the U.S.?
Well, yeah, so that depends on what the visa type is, what type of permanent residency you have in the U.S. So an IR visa, for example, for spouses of U.S. citizens, does not allow derivatives, unfortunately. Well, it does not allow derivatives, but certain F-type visas do, and that might be an adult or unmarried child of a U.S. citizen. So check with USCIS when you're applying for your visa. That will give you indications about whether you can have derivatives or applying with you or not.
Thank you. Someone else asks, my child is petitioning for me, but they live in the US and they have their birth certificate with them. Can I just bring a copy into my interview, or do I need to bring their actual original birth certificate?
Another excellent question. We have a lot of applicants that come to their interview, and they especially when their children are filing for them, they do not have the birth certificate for their children, the original copy. Unfortunately, we can't use a copy. It must be the original. We're stressing on this point because most of the applicants that come are saying that they weren't advised. So we're now telling Jamaica that if your children is filing for you, you need their original birth certificate.
Okay, great.
And Kiana, so if they don't have, if they're maybe their child that's petitioning for them has their birth certificate in the US, can applicants in Jamaica apply in Jamaica for a certified copy, a certified birth certificate?
Sure, they can. They can actually visit the Registrar General Department website where they can actually apply for their child birth certificate. They must have certain information for the child in order to apply, but it's something that can be done.
Perfect.
Is that also where people would go to get like their marriage certificate and other documents
right,
that they
all the
might?
docs, yes.
Okay.
Death certificate, certificate of non-impediment, all of those documents.
Okay, great. Thank you. Someone on Twitter asks, what documents do I need to get a boarding foil, or what do I need in order to get an SB1 visa?
So first and foremost, you need a valid passport.
Yeah.
The majority of our applicants here in Kingston have a Jamaican passport. You'll also need a form 131A as an alpha. You'll need a passport size photo, and you need payment for any associated fees. Just make sure to check USCIS to confirm what you need for your type of application case.
Okay, great. Thank you. Along those lines, if someone is applying for an SB1 visa, they've been outside the United States for more than a year, what type of evidence can they bring in to kind of make their case for why they weren't able to go back to the States?
So if you are a property owner or you signed a lease that is, an extended lease, you can bring evidence of your residence. You can bring any educational documents, planned medical procedure appointments, utility bills, just anything that would indicate that when you left the U.S. as a lawful resident, that you intended to return and that you never abandoned your residence in the U.S. For a more comprehensive list that is available on through links at travel.state.gov.
And Morgan, also you must prove to the consular officer that you had an intention to return to the U.S. But for some reason, might be medical reason, family emergency, you are not able to return to the U.S. in the time allotted.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you so much for that clarity. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today for Consular Conversations. I hope you found this information useful, and please make sure to join us next month for more Consular Conversations. Bye.